Yan. Yan. So we are um, online. Okay, thank you so much para po sa inyo na nanonood nito. Uh, Actually, I had a different title in mind when I started this earlier. I tried using my sound card. It appears nga talaga may problema talaga yung sound card ko and I might need to have it fixed or replaced. Earlier today, I believe I had a different story or topic that I wanted to share with everyone. But right now, biglang nagbago yung isip ko and I went back to my handy dandy notebook, okay, where I usually write some personal matters that I have and some content that I really want to share with all of you. And talagang may pumasok lang sa isip ko. And it's specifically this title wherein why did I stop playing with a worship team? My journey as a worship leader and a worship band member started really when I was a high school student. Through the help of our school general services manager, who used to disciple me. I was actually, as a first year high school student, or second year if I'm not mistaken, I was assigned to the technical booth of the ministry, wherein ang role lang naman namin noon is to help the worship team set up yung mga kailangan nila na equipment, um, the, the amplifiers para makatugtog sila na maayos. And in a season, we were actually trained slightly in terms of how to set up the sound system, how to utilize it, how paano magtimpla ng music. And that's where I actually started. But I guess through my selfishness and my greed probably and my jealousy, imagine mo, no? Very negative yung reason why that thing happened. There was this time wherein kasi barkada kaming tumutugtog dun sa worship team and then may mga biglang bagong tao na from the school din, students din, Christians din in the school who suddenly were given a chance to play in the band. So ako naman, being a first year student, first year college student, first year high school student, very immature, I started out crying with my friends, masama loob ko, bakit ganon? I wanted to learn how to play music, wanted to become a part of the band as well. Um, and I guess that act of jealousy that I had, God used that. Although for wrong motives, napasok ako sa team ng worship team. So in some sort of way, classmate of mine by the name of Jason uh, Labarete, he helped me have short sessions in terms of playing the bass guitar. Kaya compared to my daughter's trying to open the compared to other people who learned first the electric guitar, the acoustic guitar, una po akong natuto mag bass guitar. And probably that's one of the biggest reasons why I'm still having a difficulty in the fundamentals of acoustic, but rather I am more skilled in playing the bass guitar. Looking at that history, I started out playing the bass guitar. I played it for about more or less 3.5 years during high school. And it extended wherein natuto akong tumugtog. I was able to play with a band. And it was really, really, really beautiful because in some sort of way it became what we call a stepping stone uh, for me to get to know worship in a sense. So I continued on playing until even my third year high school years, wherein natuto na akong tumugtog. Okay, natuto na akong maging parte ng banda. Um, and I was able to play with pros. Mga as in ako I'm a novice, hindi ako napakagaling sa music. But I started playing with very very popular Christian music people here in the Philippines. Um, and talaga singit lang ako. Nag-shred lang ako ng gitara para hindi halata, but in reality I did not know anything really. Doon ako nag-shift sa electric guitar, um, rhythm actually. Um, for the most of my life as a musician and as a part of a worship team, I was so used to the idea of becoming in the sidelines. Talagang palagi po ako nasa sidelines, um, and my friends were a bit more popular in a sense in that context in terms of being great worship leaders. But mostly, my role was to really be there as the extra guy of the team, and I wanted that spotlight. And in my heart, I kept on saying that I wanted to worship. I wanted to worship, but the realization was that there was a darkness within me that more than worshiping God as a part of a worship team, I wanted to become noticed. And funny thing is, I did not realize that. I mean, yes, I believe I was authentically worshiping God as I was playing, but a big part of me had the wrong motive of wanting to be noticed by people. That's why a lot of times when I was having a hard time following the chords of the music, playing in good rhythm with the band, I would often be so frustrated. Sobra po akong nalulungkot, sobra po akong... There was even a time na nag-issue pa ako, nagsungit ako sa mga tao kasi nga nainis ako dahil hindi ako makasunod na maayos sa banda. And, and, and now that I look at it, I was so immature in terms of worship. And there was a season because of this pride, because I wanted to be good in music. I wanted to be, I even told Ricky Madatu, during it was already my college years, my season in the worship team in in Metro East, Victory Metro East. I told him I don't want to play anymore. I don't want to focus on that anymore because I'm not good enough. But at the back of my mind, there was this big pride inside of me, thinking that I need to be great, better than everyone else in playing. So that was a bit, not really a short lived, but the season of me stopping initially uh, worship, playing in the sidelines of the worship team. That was all until my years of working, kasi nagtrabaho na ako. College came, I officially stopped playing, but in Far Eastern University, I would play the guitar with my friends, doing a little bit of those secular music. Wait lang guys ha. My daughter is trying to this my daughter is, excuse me lang guys ha.
At magiging mas independent kayo. Diba yun naman yung gusto
Yeah,
niyo?
my daughter. Yeah, anyway, my daughter suddenly opened the TV. Okay, I was so absorbed by that, diba? You want to be here in the video? You want to be live with me? As daddy sharing things? Okay, good. This is my daughter. She's eating chocolates. Anyway, as I share it, it's good to share it with you guys. Look here now. This is the camera. So I was so absorbed by that until such a time my high school years, sorry, my college years, nagtutugtog-tugtog ako sa mga banda. Which is really hard because I didn't really know, being a part of a worship team for quite some time, wherein I literally stopped playing secular music. It was really hard to play secular music. The world of Christian music started to return to me during my actually my high school years. Not high school, my working years already nung ako po ay nagtatrabaho na. And it was quite weird for me because it was really not really what I call accidental in a sense, but I wasn't really the worship leader type. But there was this friend of mine, actually the school chaplain, who is a good friend of mine back then, told me that there was no worship leader, new worship leading, and then I started worship leading, and it was a great experience for me to worship, uh, because I never knew I could worship lead. I mean, although kahit sabihin mo pa ulit-ulit lang yung mga kantang kinakanta ko kasi yun lang alam ko chords And yun ang alam ko, especially consuming fire. I believe for some of you who've watched my videos before, you've heard me play that song. Uh, and I started doing worship leading. I started playing with bands again. Playing for, playing in front of the students. Some are making fun of me. Bakit daw kasi palagi ako nakapikit habang nag-worship lead? Oh, I don't know. I'm unaware of that. And it was so great, the feeling of trying to worship God. And I was thinking that I was in a correct direction already in terms of my view, in terms of worship, because in some sort of way, it allowed me to become mature in a certain level in terms of worship. But I guess I spoke too soon, um, because as it all went by, as I continuously did things like that, I started to realize that there was this pride again starting to creep inside of me. And until such a time it consumed me, and the worship that I did was no longer for me. It was to maintain a certain level of popularity. Because I became a worship leader, I was the focus of everything, and what I realized that it was so wrong. And there were lots of issues in terms of that. I guess I shouldn't share here anymore. For some of you who know it, who's my friends, who've seen it, um, being popular, at least in that small level, ate me up. The worship wasn't the bad thing, but it was the sense of pride that that was built up in my heart that made it so bad. And I guess I didn't really expect this to become one of those confession videos that I usually make here in Kuya Jam Jam. But it was a pitfall for me. A big pitfall where when I try to remember it and when I actually remember it, I see that God, I am so ashamed. I am so sad. I did not expect that I became that type of person. I did not expect that I did such a thing. And I guess that's something that really made me decide all the more to again shut down my desire to play with the worship team or actually lead worship. Kasi honestly, I could admit I could really lead worship. That's what I believe in, spirit-filled worship. To the point that even one of the school directors told me back then, ikaw ang mag-lead ng worship before, but it was really consuming in some sort of way because it's gonna eat you up as an individual. Kasi nasa isip mo, you're popular in that setting, in that certain setup. But when that when that thing struck me, and when I came to that realization, it really brought me to that desire to really just stop and really focus on the fundamentals of what I believe that worship is. That it's not about the song. It's not about how cool am I in terms of playing the guitar, how skilled am I, or how able I am to go up the stage and lead people in worship. But worship is more of that condition of the heart, meaning there is a certain level of worship wherein yes, it's public, but there's a bigger percentage or level of it is that personal connection with God as you worship, wherein everything else, parang sabi nga dun sa, I forgot the song, na the heart of worship, when the music fades, all is stripped away, and really it gets stripped away, really. And what I did really was strip away everything that ironically, should be bringing me closer to, I mean playing the music, setting up the feel of worship and things like that. It would really build me up, allow me to worship. But in some sort of way, I had to take away all of those things. Take away playing the guitar, take away playing other instruments. That's why I gave away my electric guitar, because instead of providing worship, it was becoming a sense of pride in myself, trying to lead people, trying to make people want to become this or that, diba? And what I did before was my electric guitar, my Fernandez electric guitar that I really love so much. I looked for actually a youth in church. Just so happened na anak siya ng ka-opisina ko before. I gave away my electric guitar. The other guitar that I had, my acoustic guitar before, I gave it up and gave it to a classmate. And my connection to music in a physical sense was lost for a very very long time, until such a time lang na my wife bought me an acoustic guitar, wherein I don't really use it in public anymore, but rather I use it in my personal time of worship. Kahit pa ulit-ulit lang yung music, it just gives me and allows me to have that deeper connection with God. And pretty much that's why I really stopped. That's why I really stopped playing in front of people, playing on top of the in front of the stage, and that's why I'm really hesitant to to answer the invitation of people wanting me to play bass guitar in their worship team, because I know the condition of my heart. I know my tendency to make myself the focus, and that's why in some sort of way I chose this type of worship wherein it's personal, na kami lang ni Lord, because I don't want to fall into that trap again na ang focus ako when it comes to worship, and it should not be. And and I guess that's a very short explanation for some of you who knows that I played in a band before. I did worship. I played. I went around places. Um, it's because of that pride, and I know that that pride may have been lost or gone already because I gave away my equipment. I stopped for so many years, but I know that it may start to spring out again, and and I'm not saying that I'm afraid to go back to that, to fall into that thing, but sabi nga nila, if your left hand or right hand parang causes you to sin, just cut it away. In some sort of way, I was hearing this, that I actually was reminded of that when I was listening to a certain podcast in Spotify, yung parang becoming something, if I'm not mistaken. Um, because I knew that was a condition of my heart. I needed to cut it away from my life. And pretty much that was the reason why I stopped playing in a worship team, and much more even leading worship in front of many people, or even just a small amount of people. But that did not diminish my desire to worship God through music. As of course, when I open up my iPod or my Spotify or iTunes, the the orientation in terms of worship is still there. Sometimes even instrumentals lang pinapakinggan ko, it's still there. It's never lost, because at the end of the day, worship is a connection between me and God. And what I simply took away was the me in all of it, because of my tendency and my pride uh, as an individual doing that. And I just don't want to keep this long. And if ever you're watching this, I hope you got something. Na the biggest point when it comes to worship and leading people in front of a stage is, in Tagalog na sabi nila, wag mo hayaan lumaki ang ulo mo. Because at the end of the day, it will ruin you. It will create pride inside of you and destroy the beautiful impact of worship in the things that you do. So if you're out there, you're watching this video, I hope you got something, and this video would add value in terms of how you lead people in worship if you're a worship leader. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a real good singer, but I do believe that I was blessed by God with this ability to worship. But the tendency of being putting it and focusing in me really ruined my view of it, and how I did it. And I really wanted to change that, and that's the reason why I really stopped playing with a band and stopped all the more doing praise and worship. It was really frustrating at first. It's just so hard to accept because it was a big part of who I was and what made me who I am. But that's the sincere truth. And I hope if you're watching, you get something out of it, and you try to evaluate as well. Whenever you go up the stage, hold your guitar, hold your microphone, look at people, try to encourage people through worship. Is this still the healthy worship that is directed towards God, me and God, and people trying to really just help me being used by God to reach out people? Or is it just self-edifying, diba? Para sa akin lang, and no longer allowing people to get that same connection between them and God, using that music as a medium. And yeah, so I guess unexpected, this is like a confession, one of my confession videos to all of you. And I hope you guys learned something, you got something, and I hope in some sort of way this was able to spur up faith in all of you. um, and it's really tough for me right now to share something like this about worship, about the condition of the heart, because it's never easy. It's never easy to be open to people sharing that. But at the end of the day, I believe that God has a plan and is able to change us all. So yeah, so I encourage everyone, continuously read your Bible, continuously worship God, especially during those private moments in your life, because those are the most impactful moments of worship that you can have. And always remember that it's not about the type of music, if it's rock or if it's solemn, or it's not about even the it's not about the type of music, the genre, the feels that it gives you, but it's more of really your connection with the one who is being worshipped, which is of course God, and the gratefulness that comes from the heart, and not you getting something from others because of the fulfillment of being noticed, diba? And yeah. So yan, medyo dami ko na sinabi, and I hope you guys learned something. Once again, believe that people are there for you, praying for you. If you're a worship leader out there, believe that there's someone also out there covering you in prayer and worship. Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Once again, ako si Kuya Jam Jam, ang kuyang naniniwala. Let's not forget that people believe in you, and I believe that God has a wonderful plan for your life. And I also believe na something great is in store for you. Thank you for watching once again. This is my video, Why Did I Stop Playing in a Worship Team? And this is Kuya Jam Jam. I hope you continually support us, Kuya Jam Jam, okay, this page, and also Sabado Before Dark. We are really planning to really put out more videos, live sessions, and wonderful sessions for all of you. And again, thank you, and may God bless you, and we will see all of you soon. Bye.